him and Museveni. That's three countries that Museveni been involved in: South
Wow.
Sudan, Rwanda, Congo.
Yeah.
With Kenya, which is another neighboring country,
Uh-huh.
they've had they haven't had like major war or anything like that. But Museveni has always been belligerent in Kenya. I remember, I think it was 2009 when I was in Kenya. There was a dispute between Uganda and Kenya, and basically Museveni had sent his troops to like take over, like I think it was a lake, if I remember correctly. It was back in 2009. I wasn't there for long. Um, but then when the Kenyans started saying, "Hey, look, man, you're crossing, you're like overstepping and everything," he said, "Oh, you know what? Fine. The water belongs to Kenya, but the fish belongs to Uganda." That's the type of stuff that the 70 does. So he's always been belligerent with
This guy is funny.
with Kenya also. you know, but yeah, it's true. It's
Wow.
it's really true. But nobody ever talks about him.
No, and the pictures that were showing at the event, he has pictures with almost every president
With the
of the US.
the last five, I think.
Like,
I think he has one with Trump.
I haven't
I'm not
seen
100% sure about Trump, but he definitely has with Obama.
Not just with Obama. He has one with his wife.
Yep.
With Obama and Obama's wife.
Yep.
Like,
and he got Bush. And he got Clinton. Clinton is a big fan of both Museveni and Kagame, especially Kagame. But yeah, so you got Obama, you got Bush, you got Clinton, you got the older Bush, and Reagan.
Wow.
Yeah, because Museveni has been around. He's been president since '86. It's ridiculous.
Ain't that funny? Like, you've been president for a long time, and all these, like back home, they always say all these little kids that come and they grow up and become president, and they come and they boss you around.
Right.
Like, yeah, you gotta go do this, and like you run around and you go do it, and you still call yourself president.
Yeah, like people who are born.
Yeah.
They've already they've already gone through school, graduated.
Yeah.
If they went to university, they've graduated. A lot of them have gotten married.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have kids already. So it's like basically people who could be, I guess they could probably be his grandkids.
Yeah, of course.
This guy is over 75 years old.
Wow.
And, I know the thing that a lot of people saw about Uganda last year was, that fight in Parliament when there was like...
When there was slapping...
they were throwing microphones and,
Someone was explaining that it was it was a setup.
No. There was a law that Uganda was trying to pass in Parliament. Oh. Actually, I think it was maybe earlier this year. So there was a group that was saying, don't touch it. It was the age limit. Because Museveni is going to be over 75 years old the next time they have an election. And the constitution said, if you're over 75, you can't run. And so the group in the red, like the red hats and the various things, they had a slogan, say Togi Kwatako, don't touch it.
Okay.
And basically don't touch that law.
Yeah.
Museveni wanted it passed. He wanted to change. He brought his security people into Parliament, and they beat those people in Parliament.
Wow.
And one woman, she was so injured, I think they hurt her spine.
Ooh.
So, and then finally, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but some people were absent when they voted for it. And he won. And so he got it removed. Just like all these other dictators, like Kagame, 2 years ago, he changed the constitution in Rwanda. So he had people pretending to ask him
Yeah,
to stay.
it's the same like that's the same
Yeah.
same scenario they all do.
Yeah.
Komrades did the same thing too, and he tried to change it. That's what
So I'm
what was his
glad.
downfall.
I'm so
You know,
glad that that was the
like
result.
there was one person who was saying, actually, Maurice actually told us the last when we were interviewing Maurice that they they have a, I think it's a conference or an event in West Africa that they sent some of their guys there to network,
Mm-hmm.
and he was explaining how important it was to like to network with those people, like those groups in the continent, like those activists, and
Oh yeah, it's important.
and I think it was good that they're able to do it because yeah, here, like you doing a great fight, but unless there is a relationship between like
It has to be on the ground.
yeah.
It has to be both outside and inside, because you can do all of the fighting outside. You can win everything outside.
Yeah.
But if there's nothing happening on the inside, you're not gonna have like a result.
Yeah.
And for me, that's why it's important for us to connect with the people on the continent, to have a network that is global and make it a global fight.
Yeah.
So that when we finally get to determine our own destiny, when the Africans make decisions for ourselves,
Yeah.
we who are outside in the Western countries can keep the Western countries at bay.
Yeah.
And the people on the continent can do their thing without somebody hovering over them and trying to make those decisions for them.
Yeah, but here's my concerns. Like I've seen cases where like the youth went on the street, they overthrew the government, but the follow up wasn't what we had hoped.
Yeah.
Like
that happens a lot.
Like even in the case of Burkina, some people might like what is happening right now, but I don't, because I feel like we're still signing the same type of deals, like
it's the same thing that also happened in Egypt.
Okay.
Basically, Egypt, the people staged a revolution. They removed the dictator, Hosni Mubarak. Thankfully, they arrested him and tried him. And then they had an election. A government was elected, which was the Muslim Brotherhood. And the West didn't like that government, so they overthrew them. They sponsored a coup against the elected government. And that happens a lot. But I think there's something happening in West Africa that may be really helpful. The fight against France Afrique and the fight against Franc CFA.
Yeah.
I think that's very fundamental.
Yeah.
Kind of
point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Just getting rid of that that toxic relationship
with France.
With France. France and other Western imperial masters. We need to get to the point where we're dealing instead of them just dictating.
Yeah. You see, like the reason why, it's why I ask you this is, I feel like when there's a revolution, or when we removing a dictator, I feel like there's a need for a better education on the aftermath of things.
Yeah.
Even like talking about the CFA, we gotta get it out. But I wonder if people are really prepared for the change, because when you look at a country like Sudan today, they print their own money.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own currency and they print it in Sudan,
Mm-hmm.
not in Europe or whatever. But right now there's so much inflation going on because of course they would print the money and some would print extra money for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've lived in Ghana for for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I'm wrong, but in my observation,
Mm-hmm.
each time there was an election, there was a new bill being created, a new notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen creation of like the 10,000 bill and the 20,000 bill,
Mm-hmm.
and I do believe that they created this so that they could like create extra
Mm-hmm.
and stock it,
Mm-hmm.
so that when they're doing the next elections,
Like,
they can
throw it out,
they can throw it
right people
So
with it.
it's like I feel like there's an education that needs to happen, with the revolutionaries or the activists in terms of the aftermath of like overthrowing a government and
Yeah.
not let the same people get back in.
Yeah, and it needs to be like where the people understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like getting to the masses.
Yeah.
Helping them understand that we are rejecting dictatorship and everything that looks like it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So just because basically changing a dictator for their opponent is not enough.
Yeah.
Even if it's not their opponent, or if it is their opponent, that's not enough, because what we want is real change in institutions where whoever's in power has checks and balances.
Yeah.
If things like fraudulent printing of money, like you're saying, and all of these other things that are happening, that the institutions themselves can actually address it. Because basically what happens with the dictators, and usually what happens with the people that replace them, the people who replace them are people who have long had the ambitions of just being in the seat of the dictator. Yeah. They want that, and they get in and they abuse it and things like that. I mean, I think of people like for example, like Liberia, right? Charles Taylor was horrible.
Yeah.
Samuel Doe was horrible.
Yeah.
The people before them were horrible. Then after the change came Johnson Sirleaf, right? And then she wasn't that much better. The great thing was there was not a lot of fighting.
Yeah.